World War II lasted from 1939 until 1945. The war was an important part of our nation's history, as the United States was considered the sleeping giant who got involved on December 7, 1941, when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. Eventually in 1945, the Allied powers of Great Britain, France, Russia, and the United States were victorious as the war came to an end. While the war ended 74 years ago, we must never forget this important piece of history. A local man by the name of George Shady plays a major role in making sure we never forget the Second World War. Shady collects famous memorabilia from World War II, and many of his pieces were recently put on display at Luzerne County Community College's Schulman's Gallery. Shady's passion for World War II comes from his family members who served in the war.
I grew up listening to my uncles and my father talk about stories when they got together. They didn't talk too much outside. They wanted to keep the memories internal, but once they got together, usually after a few beers, they exchanged some stories. I had two uncles that got Purple Hearts. I actually had three uncles in the war. I had one uncle who received the Silver Star, which is the third highest honor. I had a uncle or a cousin who was a merchant marine in the very dangerous routes in the North Atlantic, was torpedoed twice and survived the war.
Shady's historical memorabilia made it to Luzerne County Community College following several meetings with Robert R. Husty, who serves as the curator to the Schulman Gallery.
I met with him probably 10 times at his office, going through his collection, selecting works that would tell the story of World War II. What we did is in presenting this show, I divided the artworks into two groups. One group on the left here is the European theater, and I tried to hang it in a chronological order to tell the story. And we end here with D-Day. And then I have the Pacific Theater, which then shows on the right wall as you come in to the gallery.
Shady's collection covers multiple countries and continents, and it also includes Luzerne County. Now, one interesting item in this gallery is this display, which is of the USS Wilkes-Barre, which was a cruiser during World War II for the United States Navy, and it was named after Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Its claim to fame has to do with the Indianapolis. The Indianapolis was a cruiser that took the first atomic bomb from San Francisco, I believe it disembarked, to the Mariana Islands, and that's where it was being prepared to be dropped on Hiroshima. What happened was right after it dropped off the bomb, it was sunk by a Japanese submarine. It went down in like 10-15 minutes. 300 men went down with the ship. 900 men went in the water, and about a week later, 300 were saved. Well, the interesting thing about that is the first ship on the scene to pick up those survivors was the cruiser USS Wilkes-Barre. And the anchor and the bell are in the Luzerne County Courthouse lawn.
Now, the reason why Shady has this wealth of information on World War II and the reason why he wanted his collection on display is to make sure that younger generations never forget the Second World War and how lucky we are to have the freedoms that we have.
These younger people just don't understand. The Nazis were very close to producing a three-stage rocket that would have hit New York, Baltimore, Washington, and we prevented that by bombing those sites. They also had the first operational jet, the Messerschmitt 262. Had that been operational 3 weeks later, we probably would have lost the air war in Europe because nothing could touch it.
And the display did impact the younger generations. Ryan Evans is a journalism student at Luzerne County Community College, and he previously served in the United States Navy. Evans enjoyed going through the Schulman Gallery while taking in what was a very important part of our country's history.
It's awesome, you know, given how long it's been since these events, that we still do stuff like that to honor and remember these people. You know, for me, well, I think for a lot of people it's really easy to focus on the tragedy, but for me I look at the aftermath of that, you know, and the unity and the coming together and the perseverance and resilience of these guys back then. It's very inspiring for me. It makes me very proud to be a part of that heritage.
Evans also said that people with a military background like him will never forget World War II, especially after partaking in Memorial Day services during his time in uniform.
You haven't seen a Memorial Day till you've seen it on a forward deployed military base. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like I don't even know what to compare it to, like a Lollapalooza of sorts. You know, it's everyone's just so happy and so proud, and we don't. It's not about us. It's not about our current day. We honor the people who went before us, because when you look at how combat has changed, you know what they did in the 40s as opposed to what it is now. It's those guys were tough people, and I'm not saying that we've lost that in a sense, but I think it's just a reminder to the standard we're supposed to live up to as active duty soldiers and sailors and Marines and airmen.
And while the World War II exhibit is no longer at the Schulman Gallery, you can still head up to Luzerne County Community College and take a look inside the gallery, as they are always putting out great work.
We're always having exhibitions, not only, in this case, this is an historic exhibition, but we have exhibitions of artworks of local artists, and also our next show that's coming up is our faculty alumni show, which will feature the works of alumni and the art faculty here at Luzerne County Community College, and that will open on Friday, January 24th.
Reporting for SSPTV News, I'm John Eric Poli.